Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I rise today to speak in support of lifting the two-child cap, not just as a Member of Parliament, but as someone who knows personally what it means to live on the edge of financial insecurity that was not my child's fault. A few years ago, at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, way before I stood in this House, for a period of time I was a single parent and out of work. Not for long in the grand scheme of things, but long enough to struggle again. And I don't want to make this about me, but I want to give this example because hopefully it shows a modicum of insight and empathy which appears to be missing on this from this side of the House and a little bit over there. Like millions of people across this country, I was doing everything I could to keep going, to keep my home afloat and to shield my child from the worst of the stress and anxiety that comes with not having enough. Many people experience this even in work, people with responsibility for more children than I have. At that time, I had to register my car as SORN because I simply couldn't afford to run and tax it. And so every day I would do a twice-a-day walk to school that took me about 3 hours. Now, I want to be clear what that meant in practice. It meant starting the day already exhausted, and especially for my daughter, knowing I still had to parent, to job hunt, to cope, and at the end of the day, it meant digging deep for energy I often, quite frankly, just didn't have. But some days, if I could scrape together enough loose change, coins I gathered from hither and thither, I could afford a bus. And that small thing, that single bus journey, made an enormous difference to me and to my child. I had a little bit more patience, a little bit more capacity to be the parent that my child needed me to be. And that's the reality we're talking about today for so many. The two-child cap is often discussed in abstract terms, numbers, incentives, thresholds. But behind every statistic is a family making impossible choices. Parents skipping meals so that their children can eat. Children growing up with limits imposed on them before they've even had a chance to begin. This is not about supporting families who are simply irresponsible or reckless or thoughtless or not planning ahead for children they can and can't afford. And it predominantly impacts working families who fall on hard times sometimes, families who lose a job, families whose circumstances change through illness, bereavement or redundancy, families who did not plan to need support but need it nonetheless. Children do not choose the circumstances they are born into, and yet, under the two-child cap, we are telling some children that they're worth less than others. That support will stop an arbitrary line drawn between that support will stop an arbitrary line drawn not by need but by ideology. Lifting the two-child cap is not about rewarding anyone, it's about recognising reality. It's about acknowledging the cost of living has risen, that wages have not kept pace and that social security should provide security, especially for children. When we invest in families, we invest in better outcomes, better health, better crime, better education and stronger communities. We reduce pressure on public services further down the line and we give parents the breathing space they need. When I think back to the long walks, the exhaustion, the worry, the quiet determination to keep going, I know how much difference a little extra support will make for so many families and children who will be lifted out of poverty because of this. It's not luxury, it's not comfort, it's just dignity and a fair chance. It's the difference between a parent breaking or not, going without a meal to feed their child or not, a child not starting the day exhausted, a warm bedroom at bedtime or not. Don't have children if you can't afford them just doesn't wash. It's not a parent's fault they have record high energy bills thanks to the war in Ukraine. It doesn't help a parent out of work due to ill health thanks to a broken NHS system that has not been there to help fix them after 14 years of a Conservative government. And it's no parent's fault when they have a child with SEND for who they've had to give up work perhaps to support, or the fault of over 60% of working families who are struggling. So this is why I urge this House to do the right thing, just as Citizens Advice have, Child Poverty Action Group have, Older Hay Children's Hospital have, Mental Health Foundation have, Royal College of Nursing have, UK Women's Budget Group have, UNICEF UK have, to name but a few. I've noticed there's been absolutely no evidence in organisations that back their claims that this is the wrong thing to do. And I want to ensure that in this country, no child is held back simply because of the circumstances they were born into, or circumstances that have changed, that have made things harder for their parents and for them. That's why I'm grateful that we are not just doing this in isolation, but we'll have Best Start hubs. This Labour government is delivering breakfast clubs to help parents get back into work and to get to work earlier. We're delivering up to £7,000 worth of childcare for working parents, and we're helping young people out of work, education or training into the workplace to better their life opportunities. And that is what lifting the two-child cap is about.
Manuela Pertigella.
Thank you,